What I'm working on now, I'm taking a character from one of my favorite movies, Jack Foley, played by George Clooney. Clooney loves this character, so I'm going to tempt him, see if he wants to play him again.
Just smile, Loretta, so you don't look like you're being held up.
Like every Elmore Leonard character, Jack Foley, the hip bank robber from Out of Sight, was first written the old-fashioned way, in longhand.
I've been writing in longhand ever since I started, 1951, because the first few things I tried to write, I was writing on a little Royal Portable, and all I was doing was Xing out lines and starting over and starting over. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I can cross a line out and keep going almost in the same motion.
So like many fine writers, Elmore learned early that good writing means rewriting. Once he's got a few pages in longhand, he'll type them on his old IBM Electric. In a year, he goes through 3,000 of those yellow sheets. He was born in this New Orleans house in 1925, but his family was moving a lot. As a boy, he loved toy guns and cowboy outfit. And in Oklahoma, he followed the exploits of the legendary Bonnie and Clyde, which prompted this photo with his mother, sister, and a family friend. In 1934, the family moved to Detroit. His dad worked for GM, and his mom was an avid reader. Elmore loved his childhood.
My mother and dad loved me. My sister loved me. And I was a good little boy. And I loved sports. I played in grade school. I played baseball all the time. Went to Blessed Sacrament, you know, the cathedral.
He played baseball and football at U of D High, loved jazz and reading fiction, and credits the school's Jesuits with giving him a good education. He never much liked the name Elmore and was pleased when his classmates began calling him Dutch after a major league pitcher at the time. Graduating in the middle of World War II, he joined the Seabees and served in the Admiralty Islands doing construction work and maintaining airfields. After the war, he majored in English at the University of Detroit.
I was going to be reading anyway, why not take English?
The plan was to go into business at his father's car dealership.
I just liked the idea that I was going to be able to work, make a living, and marry my girlfriend. That was the whole idea, because I wasn't thinking of writing.
But in 1948, his father died of a heart attack, and Dutch ended up going into advertising. But inspired by his love of Western movies, he nursed the idea that he'd like to write fiction.
I researched Arizona in the 1880s. I researched guns, Apache Indians, different kinds of Apaches, cavalry, cowboys, what kind of coffee they drank, all of that.
But Dutch was married now with a growing family that would eventually include 5 children. The only way he could find time to write was to get up at 5 a.m. and work for 2 hours before going into his ad agency job at Campbell Ewald.
You have to force yourself, because the first few months, the alarm went off at 5, but I didn't get up. Finally I started to get up. I could write a page an hour then, but I had to start writing before I put the water on for coffee, or else I could blow my 2 hours.
Very quickly, Dutch began selling his stories to the men's magazines and the pulps.
My first sale was $1,000 to Argosy, but the better pulps, Zane Grey Western and Dime Western, 15-story Western, paid 2 cents a word, and that was it. You could not make more than that.
2 cents a word?
2 cents a word. So 5,000 words, normal short story, 20 pages, $100.
Those 5 a.m. writing sessions before work lasted nearly a decade.
I wrote 5 books and 30 short stories, and a couple of the stories were turned into movies. So I thought, well, I'm on my way, you know.
But then Dutch moved his family from Lathrop Village to a larger home in Birmingham, and he was forced to concentrate on making a living. Working on educational films for the Encyclopedia Britannica, he gave up writing fiction for 4 years. In the meantime, the market for Westerns was drying up.
I had to switch over to crime, yeah. And I thought, oh my God, now when I describe something, a setting in Detroit, my readers are going to know what it looks like. You know, you describe a Western town, they're gone.
So Elmore's research now centered on the world of big city cops and criminals. The first non-Western was a novel called The Big Bounce.
My New York agent was very ill, went into a hospital and sent The Big Bounce to Swanee. This guy on the wall behind me, H.N. Swanson,
Yes.
who represented F. Scott Fitzgerald, Raymond Chandler, so on. And he called me up and he said, "Kiddo, did you write this book?" I said, "Of course I wrote it, my name's on it." He said, "Well, kiddo, I'm going to make you rich." And he got 84 rejections over the next few months. But we both knew it was going to sell. It just needed a little plot, a little more plot. So I added plot, and it sold, as a movie first before it sold as a book.
Dutch calls the movie made from The Big Bounce the second worst movie ever made, only because he figures there has to be at least one that's worse. But from then on, sales to Hollywood would help keep him writing full-time and making a good living. For a while, he tried writing screenplays himself, but soon found there were way too many cooks.
Not only the director and actors, but all the studio people who would tell you how to write, who themselves didn't know how to write, you know. Everybody thinks he knows how to write.
Up next, Dutch reveals his secrets to good writing.